Hey everyone, welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling. I'm Denise Salcedo, and we have an exciting show to talk about here today. We're going to be chatting all things the black and gold brand WWE NXT. Another good show this week. I mean, we had a good Raw yesterday, and now we have another good NXT. So far, we are going for a pretty solid week of wrestling content, and I am definitely here for it. And based off today, we got a new champion today. We got some news. We're all heading into the Great American Bash next week. I mean, there's just going to be plenty to talk about here today. But before we get started, everybody, I want to remind you guys all that I officially have a brand new show added to my long list of shows here on F4W on Wrestling Observer. So not only do I cover NXT, AEW Dynamite, and Smackdown 3 times a week, but We're Live, Pal is officially a thing. Today, both myself, Garrett, and Andrew officially went live on the YouTube channel. We had a really good time. You can actually check out that show today. You can check it out whenever you want after this one, whatever you please. You can definitely go ahead and check it out. And today we're here to talk about NXT. Also, friendly reminder that this is a very interactive stream. So if you guys want to get your thoughts in, you want to get your 2 cents read on the air, feel free to send in a super chat. If you do, I do get to keep 100% of the proceeds from all super chats. So thank you so much to F4W Online for allowing that for me. And let's go ahead and jump into it, guys. We actually have our first super chat of the day. And this one is from Brandon Charles Powell, who says, Denise, great Ciampa interview. Hope him and Timmy win some gold soon. Dude, I just gotta say, first and foremost, guys, I have a lot of interviews lined up, or at least that are in the works of happening. So you guys are going to want to definitely keep an eye out on my social media pages because I will be promoting those. But my interview with Ciampa is probably one of my favorites that I have done in a really long time. And here's the thing, guys. When I do these interviews with WWE talent, I only get like maybe 15, 20 minutes. So, you kind of got to pack as much as you possibly can into that short amount of time frame. And so just given the fact that I think we did a little bit over like 20 minutes, I think, but we just talked about so much. And that interview that I did with him sort of kind of made me look at things very differently. Even today, watching NXT, I watched it with a new set of eyes. I just had like a different perspective going into the show. And so that was really cool. So I think if you guys were to check out that interview that I did with Ciampa, you will definitely get what I'm talking about, because we dive into talking about creative, how he feels about, his spot on the roster, how he felt about his match with Walter. He kind of reveals a lot of information in that interview. Once again, even just about that match and his mindset going into that match, and just a whole bunch of other stuff that I thought was really, really, really great. So if you guys want to check out my interview with Tommaso Champa, you guys can definitely do so. You guys can find the video actually over on my channel, youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. You'll find the video right there. And then also you guys can just go ahead and find it on my Twitter page, whatever you guys prefer. So thank you so much to Brandon for kicking us off here today. And we actually have another super chat. This one is from Paul S. Thank you so much to Paul S. who says, no, you good? ? I'm still laughing. Yeah, we good here. Paul S., thank you so much for sending in this super chat. All right, guys, let's see what else we got here. Let's get the party started, everybody. All right, so we're going to run through things in a chronological format because it just makes things easier. So as you guys send in your comments, try to send it in as it pertains to the topic that we're discussing. That way I actually get to read your comments here on the air, and it just makes for a better flow of the show. So let's talk about this. Once again, we are on the road to the Great American Bash, which is taking place next week. So after I'm done going over all the main points of today's show, I'm also going to do some quick predictions for the Great American Bash. So let's go ahead and see how you guys felt about the show overall. I'm actually going to read this comment from Pomi Wrestling, who says, it was a pretty good show. great opening contest and main event, but certain things left a sour taste in my mouth. Interesting that I don't think there was anything that I would say left a sour taste in my mouth. Even the ending, I don't necessarily think it left any sort of bad taste in my mouth. I did tweet out that I wanted Bronson Reed to retain, but obviously, there have been, I think people can speculate that perhaps he might be moving on to either Raw or SmackDown. Of course, that is just a speculation right now. We don't for sure know. But I don't think that I would classify that as like a sour taste in my mouth. So maybe I'm missing something else that Pomi here is talking about. But I'm seeing a lot of people here that are not happy about Bronson Reed losing. And I'm wondering if you guys aren't happy that are you guys not happy because he lost the title, or because you believe that it signifies that he's definitely going to the main roster, or is it both? I think I'm a little bit unclear on your reactions here today. We got a comment from Mr. EMJ who says, I'm happy for Zoe Starks. You can tell that as soon as she gets more familiar with other opponents, she will be a franchise player for the women's division. Troy Butler says, and just like that, the NXT North American Championship got 1 billion times more interesting. What? That is, I don't think I agree with that. I don't agree with that. I liked Bronson Reed as champion. The only problem was that he necessarily wasn't getting he wasn't really defending the title as much. Obviously, that's not his fault. He had a couple of title defenses, not very many. I was actually going to search that up prior to the show, but I think a lot of people are mainly upset because, there's a chance that Bronson Reed is definitely going to the main roster. And like Alex Aguilera points out here, that it's going to be the cause of death. Oh God, I hope not. I really, really hope not. You know what? Yesterday we had a pretty good Monday Night Raw, or at least a decent one that I can say. So you know what? Call me foolish, but I'm going to be hopeful. Okay. So I'm going to have a little bit of hope. And I know that I probably shouldn't, but I'm gonna. Kill me. I'm a hopeful person. We have a comment from YouTubian who says, I think Swerve will be a great champ. Isaiah Swerve Scott has been having nothing but phenomenal matches. So I definitely think that is a safe assumption to make. But let's do it, guys. The opening match for tonight, we had a triple threat women's tag team match. Essentially, the winners of this match would go on to become the number one contenders to face the champions, Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. So we had the team of Ember and Shotzi versus Zoe and Io versus Raquel and Dakota Kai. Oh God, guys, you know what? Here's the thing is that I feel like I like what they have been doing with the women on the NXT side of things. Like, I feel like you can tell that they put a lot of effort to really bring forth the women's division and, just keep it strong, especially just kind of keep that reputation that they have to keep it strong. And you can see that every week. However, I feel like a lot of times when you have these matches, I almost feel like a lot of us are used to sort of seeing the same things play out over and over again. So sometimes like there are good matches, but I don't feel like a lot of us are really like raving about them. So with that being said, I kind of really wasn't all that invested heading into this match. I wasn't all that invested. I just thought, okay, it's going to be a fun little match, right? I really wasn't thinking anything of it. However, I ended up loving this match so much more than I was expecting because it completely, I would say, over-delivered. When you think of a fun match where you just want to get, all the women in there basically showcasing the best things that they can do, really showcasing all of their strengths in one, I think that this was the match that definitely did that. They did a lot of really good stuff here. So let's talk about some of the highlights of this match. We saw Ember and Io at the top of this match really try to take down Raquel Gonzalez. Obviously, Raquel Gonzalez, your champion. She's the one that you essentially, she's on a higher pedestal here. And, obviously given her size, she's definitely already got, you can say an advantage. So they were trying to take her down. And we saw that through the rest of the night, a lot of the women trying to take down Raquel and sort of keep her out of things so that they can go ahead and, get their win. But we did see Raquel dominate a lot throughout this match. Then we had this very awesome sequence, which I loved, right at the top of this match, where we saw all the women, or most of the women, get a chance to kind of show a lot of their like aerial maneuvers. And I thought this was really sweet. So you see Io Shirai do that moonsault that we all know and love because she does a beautiful moonsault. And then we see, again, that was very flawless. And then we see a Shotzi do a dive to the outside of the ring, quickly followed by Ember doing a swanton, quickly then followed by Zoe doing a crossbody on all the girls. And this was all done to the girls on the outside. So I thought that just that sequence of all of them kind of getting their moment to shine during this, I thought was really cool. We then went to commercial break. We come back, and again, we kind of see the theme of this where Raquel is really dominating through this match. There's this moment where Raquel is literally lifting Shotzi above her head and above her shoulders, above her head. And then you see Io Shirai running towards Raquel, and Io Shirai, she's like this very petite, tiny girl, and Raquel just like lifts her boot up and just like pummels her right in the face. And I love this. And here's the thing that I also want to bring up too, is that obviously we know that awesome match that Raquel and Io Shirai had, and Raquel looked phenomenal in that match too with Io Shirai. Here's the thing, is that like I feel like since then she hasn't really, like, she's been looking dominant as a champion, but in terms of like in-ring wise, I don't think we've seen her look that good since the last time she was in the ring with Io Shirai. And then we kind of saw that again tonight in this match. Obviously, little tease because you have all the other women in this match, but those moments with Raquel and Io Shirai were definitely a highlight of this match and just really added so much more to the match itself. We then see a 619 from Io to Dakota, followed by a missile drop kick. That looked great. And then again, all the women, obviously except for Dakota Kai, gang up on Raquel by throwing punches. They get her out of the ring. Ember does an eclipse on Zoe, and then Io does a moonsault on Dakota for the win. So now Zoe and Io will be heading over to the Great American Bash to face Indy and Candice LeRae. So I just got to say that this match was fantastic. So let's see what you guys are saying here. I have to agree. This is a comment from Tommy Cornell who says, poor Dakota always getting pinned. Right away, that was one of the things that I thought to myself too. I was like, dang, it really is always Dakota Kai that's getting pinned. But I'm wondering, obviously we know that maybe not now, but down the line, I think a lot of us can assume that we're probably going to be seeing, Dakota Kai versus Raquel at some point. So maybe this is just, some long-term storytelling that is eventually going to play a part in this future Raquel Dakota storyline. So I hope that that's the case, because I don't necessarily want Dakota Kai to always have to be the one taking the pin, because I think that there's a lot of upside in Dakota Kai and a lot that they can do with Dakota Kai. We actually have a super chat. Thank you so much to Christopher Marino. Christopher says, when I see a match like this, it just makes me more furious about Raw and SmackDown. See, I don't necessarily, not this match. You know what match should make you furious and in a positive way, though? It was last night's match between Matt Riddle, Drew McIntyre, and AJ Styles. That should make you upset, because that actually happened on the Raw brand. And when you see matches like that and you think to yourself, man, we got a 3-hour show. Let's pack it up with some matches just like that. I think that should probably make you a little bit mad. But I think in terms of what you mean, it's like one of the things that I tweeted about today, and I probably should have mentioned at the top of the stream, is that I really thought that the overall flow of NXT today was really good. Because there's been a lot of times where I'm not going to say the show drags, but I think there's a lot of times where you kind of feel like, I don't know, like maybe just things aren't really clicking. But today, I definitely felt like things were clicking. Like they started off with this really hot match, and obviously we're going to move on to everything else that happened. But I kind of felt like every segment carried its own weight, and it didn't really feel like there was a moment where you're kind of like, oh, We got to watch this now. And we got a lot of that. Like, that's the problem. We get a lot of that, like, on Raw, where we're like, oh, this is next. Dang. Like, I don't want to watch this, you know? So we definitely did not get that whatsoever with NXT. And you know what, though? It is rare when we get that with NXT. We don't really get that often with NXT. So I should add that too. And let's see what else we got here. JB Carroll wants to know if it's because Riddle substituted for Orton. Dude, honestly, like, that match was phenomenal. I think if Randy Orton would have been in that match like the way that it was supposed to be, I still believe that match would have been phenomenal. And let's see what else you guys are saying here. We actually have another super chat. Thank you so much to Brandon Rosen, who says, I don't buy Zoe Stark and Io Shirai as beating the champs next week. I predict they lose, resulting in a feud between the two. See, and I'm going to, obviously, I was going to share my predictions for the end of the stream, but since you sent in the super chat, I might as well say right now that I actually want to see Io Shirai and Zoe win the titles. Like, I like Candice and Indy, but I feel like a lot of what we saw with them was so repetitive that I almost kind of feel like I need a little bit of a break there. I don't know what it is. I like them. I like the comedic side of some of the comedic stuff that they've been doing has, been somewhat of a hit for me. But I think that I want to see what Io and Zoe would have to offer as a tag team. I almost feel like it would be a really good idea, because here's the thing is that when they brought in Zoe and they brought her into NXT, I believe like she was losing a lot. But here's the thing though, is that she was losing to some of the top women on the NXT roster. So it kind of really didn't hurt her that bad. So she kind of got just like, she kind of grew fast on the roster and grew fast on the roster simply by being in those matches with those women. And so given the fact that I kind of feel like now that Io Shirai is not champion, I don't want Io Shirai essentially floating around the roster, trying to figure out a spot for her on the show. I don't want that for Io Shirai. Like, Io Shirai has so much more to offer. So I do think that, obviously having this combination of Zoe and Io Shirai as a tag team would actually benefit both of these girls. I think that they could probably do something. And if they do become a tag team, I think it'd be great. Like, get them some matching gear. I don't know, do something to kind of package them as something new. And I would honestly be 100% here for that. So that's personally how I feel about all of that here. And let's see what else we got here. I'm going to go ahead and see what other comments we got. Again, we're going to run through everything chronologically. So I'm trying to read the comments as they pertain to the actual topic. But we have one from Joseph here who says, it frustrates me that they have an NXT Women's Tag Team Championship. Tamina and Natalya would have had great matches in NXT as champions. This is a topic that I feel we talk about all the time. And there's really I know the frustration is there, but I feel, here's the thing though, the frustration is there, but on the main roster side of things, I don't necessarily feel like we kind of had a little bit of that frustration for a moment on NXT, but I kind of feel like we got over that hump really quickly, and we're sort of getting the ball back and rolling. Exhibit A was literally this opening match. We're getting the ball rolling again to the point where I can say that I'm excited about the NXT Women's Tag Team division. And I don't think I was saying that necessarily 2 weeks ago, because there was a moment where we were just kind of seeing the same matches over and over again. We have a comment. Let's see. Actually, we're going to go ahead and move on here. Let's see. All right, guys, let's do this. Actually, I'm going to read one more comment and then we're going to move on to the next topic. This one is from Martin, who says, they shouldn't have made the NXT Women's Tag Team titles. They should have benefited the main women's tag titles. It would help out that division. JB Carroll says, agree. The women's NXT Tag Team division is solid and they have a lot of interesting match combinations. Thank you. That is exactly how I'm feeling about this. Again, I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan when we had that announcement, and especially when we had Raquel and Dakota be crowned champions and then lose it the same night. I thought, oh, this is going to be a disaster. This is not going to be good. But I do have to say that I think that they've definitely picked things up for sure. Alrighty, guys, let's go ahead and jump into the next topic here. So we had an announcement today that we are officially getting the NXT Breakout Tournament. It returns in 2 weeks. They said that the tournament will feature 8 new superstars, and the winner will receive a shot at the NXT title of their choosing. This is pretty exciting. Like anything for me that is going to spice up the show. And I love to see new faces. I think we all agree that having new faces on the show is a good thing because it keeps things fresh. It keeps the momentum high and it keeps things feeling like it's not a chore when you're watching. At least that's how I feel. So I like the fact that they made this announcement. I'm excited for the NXT Breakout Tournament. I'm totally here for it. And, we'll see what they do with that, and we'll see what faces we see here. But we actually have a super chat. Thank you so much to Dalen Parada. Dalen says, can't get into Raquel. She's just WTV for me. What is WTV? What do I know? Whatever. Oh, okay. I was like, what is WTV? Okay, let me correct what Dalen just said here. Sorry, Dalen. Dalen sent in his hard-earned money, so I am going to get this right. He says, can't get into Raquel. She's just whatever for me. Put the title on Frankie Monet sooner rather than later, please. Okay, Dalen. So, Dalen, I like you. But I have to disagree here because I actually think that Raquel is doing a phenomenal job as champion. I get it though, because right now, you know, she's obviously doing this tag team stuff, or at least that's what we've been seeing as of late. But I like Raquel as champion. I think she's bringing something totally different, especially something totally different than what Io Shirai was bringing, like 2 totally different champions here. And I know that I also want to see Frankie Monet as champion down the line, but that's what makes it exciting. The fact that you can already say like, oh, I would love to see, you know, somebody else as champion. That's totally cool. But I think that they still have a little bit of a ways to actually building up Frankie Monet on their roster to sort of, you know, get her to that level where you can say, okay, I'm gonna, you know, obviously we all know Taya Valkyrie. So this is not, you know, incorporating Taya Valkyrie. This is literally what we've been seeing, just the Frankie Monet portion of her career, what we've been seeing on NXT. I still think that they need to build her up more because, yeah, she came out and she confronted Raquel, and I was totally here for that. If she would have challenged Raquel then and there, I would have been like, hell yeah, like, let's do this. Let's feed off of that history of who she was, you know, prior to WWE. I thought it would be something new, something different, but they didn't go that direction. And so I kind of feel like I want to wait it out a little bit. I rather have them build up Frankie Monet until, you know, it's her time to get the title. But right now, I'm liking what Raquel's doing. Even in this match, just the fact that all the women, all they wanted to do was get her out of the ring. And it took so many women to even do that. It's like she's really showing, and she obviously looks a lot better when she's in there with people that can, you know, help her have these great matches. Obviously, what she did with Rhea Ripley was phenomenal. I just mentioned the stuff that she did with Io Shirai, obviously phenomenal. She, you know, her first challenger right after that was Mercedes Martinez. So that was kind of a little bit of a step down. But so it's kind of just like getting something back up so that she can have like a new challenger, somebody else to kind of remind you why you might have liked Raquel in the first place. I think that's what we need, is a reminder of why we essentially wanted to see Raquel as champion, or at least why some of us might have wanted to see her as champion. But thank you so much to Dalen for sending in this super chat. Alrighty, let's see, guys. Let's go ahead and move on. All right. So, we have a quick backstage segment, and this is obviously going to feed into the main event. But really quickly, we had Bronson Reed. He's doing a backstage interview. He's confronted by Hit Row. Isaiah Surf Scott and Bronson Reed kind of go back and forth here. There's a moment where Bronson Reed calls Top Dollar King, and I thought that was pretty hilarious. And they essentially make this match for later tonight, which we'll talk about once we actually get there. But here we go. We got to talk about this next segment because this kind of carried through a pretty interesting portion here. So here we go. Karrion Kross and Johnny Gargano. So we have Karrion Kross. Essentially, he's pissed off because Gargano essentially attacked him earlier on in the show in the back, okay? So he calls out Gargano. Gargano comes out and literally just, I mean, he kind of embarrasses the champion again by kind of with these one-liners where he tells them when he's in the ring, he says, buddy, that's my world you're standing in. And I just thought, oh, that is such a good line. And here's the thing that it's kind of unfortunate, but a lot of people have been pointing out that, Karrion Kross necessarily doesn't have the tools per se to be a phenomenal in-ring worker. And that's something that's been brought up in a lot of those promos against Karrion Kross. And then afterwards, Johnny Gargano then says, I don't have a sword, but what I have is actual talent. I thought, oh, that line is such a burial, but it is such a good line. And here's the thing, I'm a fan of Karrion Kross, but obviously I'm aware of the criticism that Karrion Kross gets. And I just thought that this line was very, very, I guess you can say impactful, and it kind of really hit it really hit a spot there, I would say. So if you're one of those people like me that were watching this and you hear Johnny Gargano say this, you kind of go like, oh, burn. Like that was definitely kind of a burn. Afterwards, we see Theory attack Kross from behind. Kross, though, is able to essentially come out on top as he sort of, goes back and forth with Johnny Gargano and Austin Theory, but he ends up smashing Gargano into the plexiglass. The security comes out, Samoa Joe comes out, and they essentially stop Karrion Kross because Karrion Kross is essentially about to ram the steel steps right into Johnny Gargano, but he's unable to. So obviously they're going to do Johnny Gargano versus Karrion Kross. And if you guys obviously read what, is being said about Karrion Kross possibly moving on to Raw or to SmackDown, the main roster, a lot of people, I guess you can say that they're not obviously, that's not the right word to put this, but chances are that we're going to see Johnny Gargano probably become NXT champion again. So it seems to me that either they're going to make Johnny Gargano this transitional champion. I feel like that's the direction that we're looking at right now. And I'm not necessarily so sure that I'm completely in love with that idea. And the reason for that is because Johnny Gargano's character right now, from the way and what he's portraying, it really does feel like a transitional champion. It doesn't feel like something that I feel is going to last a very long time. It feels like a transitional thing. So part of me is kind of like, well, I wonder why they couldn't do this with somebody else, somebody that they could have probably had, be a champion for a long time. And that's the thing right now with the NXT World title. I feel like we've been seeing it like handed off back and forth. Like there's been so many changes. So I still would have liked for them to actually do what they're doing with Johnny Gargano right now, but with somebody like Pete Dunne, who I think if he were to become, this champion, if Kross moves on and goes to the main roster, I think that he would have been definitely somebody that is going to, actually be a long champion and a dominant champion for a good amount of time. So obviously that's just all a theory. We don't really know for sure. That's just, an estimated guess, you can say. Later in the night, though, we do see Karrion Kross and Scarlett. They're essentially about to leave. They're going home. They're done for the night. And Johnny Gargano ends up attacking Karrion Kross along with Austin Theory. They attacked Karrion Kross, and that was kind of that, guys. How do you guys feel about the possibility of Kross going to the main roster? How do you feel about the possibility of Johnny Gargano probably becoming your next NXT champion? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think I'm right? What are your thoughts on this? Let's see what you guys all got to say here. Let's see. So we actually have a super chat from Dalen Prada. Thank you so much to Dalen, who says, Johnny's not taking it, Denise. Samoa Joe is going to beat Kross SummerSlam weekend. Kross will get drafted after SummerSlam. So that's something that I think, we don't know that for sure. Again, this is all hearsay or prediction, sort of be. We don't necessarily know that Samoa Joe, Karrion Kross are going to do something. That could be an option. I would like to see that as an option, but we don't know. We don't know, especially since it looks like Samoa Joe's situation is maybe a little bit more not as easy, I guess you can say. That's probably the best way to put it. So let's see what else you guys got to say here. This is coming from AR, who says Gargano, Cross, and Balor must be on the main roster. We have a comment from Troy Butler, who says Gargano needs to turn full babyface if his title run is going to be good. This is a comment from Pyro Mash, who says, no shaming from me. I randomly rewatched the Chicago street fight with Gargano and Ciampa over the weekend and renewed my love for the little man. Dude, I feel like anytime you see Johnny Gargano's matches, chances are your love for Johnny Gargano's in-ring skills will definitely grow once again. We have another theory here. This one is from AR, who would like to see Roman Reigns versus Karrion Kross. And this is a comment from Chris Cage 2X, who says Johnny Gargano is just begging to seriously be hurt by killer Karrion Kross. He got a really dope ass Dodge Challenger BTW. Yeah, he looks pretty good. He had the swagger going. That is the swagger that you would expect from a from your NXT champion. And let's see what else we got here. This is a comment from Mr. EMJ, who says the powers that be in NXT are smart enough to use the criticisms Kross gets by giving the NXT title twice before having 5 to 10 TV matches, and they use that as fuel for his opponents. Sam3 says Kross has the ability to be a superstar in WWE. Just look at him. He is the heavyweight type that will be main eventing for years. Well, I mean, we all have seen that from the start. It's like from the start, I think like I remember when Keith Lee won the titles, right? And there was a moment that they had Karrion Kross kind of like in the background. And I just remember like that one image where you had Keith Lee and Karrion Kross and everybody was like losing their minds. And then when Kross became champion, I think a lot of people were definitely on board. And then unfortunately, you know, he had that injury and all of that. And I just really feel like things haven't clicked ever since. Like ever since Kross became champion again, it just hasn't been clicking. It's like the people just decided that they just weren't interested. I kind of feel like that's what happened there. And let's see what else we got here. All right. We're going to go ahead and move on, guys. I think I got more time. I think I got most of the comments here. And we got this one from Pomi, who says, the more time passes, the more I believe Ciampa, Gargano, and especially Cole are hurting NXT's future stars. No matter who NXT builds, they'll always overshadow them after being in NXT for up to 6 years. See, that's the thing. Like, I feel like yes and no to this. Like, yes, because I get what you mean, because a perfect example of that today was literally, and we'll talk about this more, but when we had MSK and Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher, like, it was kind of hard to even... You know, obviously we know that MSK is, you know, very talented team, but I just feel like you have Thatcher and Ciampa who have like this history and they're two like, you know, these rugged men, and you're just thinking like, oh, come on. Like this is, you know, this doesn't match up. Like you just really feel like you're leaning more towards Ciampa and Thatcher because of everything that they've done and who they are and their names and all of that. And how can they possibly lose to MSK? So I feel like that's an example, a little example of what you're talking about. But I also do think that if somebody were to, honest to God, be built up in a proper way with a great story and, you know, the fans and, you know, just okay. So when I remember when I interviewed Kofi Kingston, he told me, like, when we were talking about Kofi Mania, he was saying that he never believes that it'll happen again. And the reason for that is because so many little things had to essentially happen for Kofi Mania to be a thing. And I feel like that to a certain degree is what happens with certain champions. Like for a champion to essentially, you know, get to that level where like the fans are just like, hell yeah, like this is happening. There has to be so many little things, so many little factors that go into it to actually make this moment grand. And that's what I think Karrion Kross lost. Like when he became NXT champion, yeah, he became champion, but I don't necessarily think that all of those little things in the universe were essentially perfectly tied up to make this like a great championship reign. I'm trying to explain this here, and I hope it's getting across, but I think it's more than just, hey, we're going to make this guy champion. It's got to be like the right timing. The people got to be behind this. And that's just like, So what I'm trying to get at here is I feel like I can agree to some extent to what Pomi is talking about, because he does bring up a very good point with, again, an example that I gave just kind of earlier here. This is another comment from, I'm going to try to get a couple of comments since we have a lot of people here that are talking about this. This one is from Mixed Partial Farts, who says, Karrion Kross is actually good. I don't know why these little marks are on about. He's solid. Just because he doesn't fly around doesn't make him not a great performer. I like Karrion Kross, but here's the thing about Kross, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. I think that he's good when he's in there with guys that can essentially help him get to that next level. Like, he's good, right? But he does need to be in the ring with certain guys that can make him look even better. That's probably the best way that I can say that here. And so I'll kind of go with that there. And okay, let's see what else we got here. All right, I think we're cool here. Okay, this is coming from Jake Larson, sort of pertaining to what I was saying. He brings up Kofi's, Punk, Becky, Bryan. It's a rare thing, and it's fan-driven. Thank you. Some more examples to what I was talking about with Kofi Mania. You know, it's a lot of things that really go into somebody becoming champion. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and move on. So after this, we had the Diamond Mine. So the Diamond Mine debuted last week. We officially, we got into that last week. That was, really fun to talk about, just because a lot of us really didn't know what to expect. And I kind of feel like the promotion, the promotion for the Diamond Mine kind of got everybody like really excited to see what they were going to do. With that being said, I don't necessarily think that tonight was as blowaway as I was hoping, okay? I thought this match was okay. This is a match between Asher Hale and Roderick Strong. I thought it was okay. It wasn't blowaway. Didn't, rock my socks whatsoever. I enjoyed the opening match a whole lot more. I just thought that there was a big chunk of something missing here. I feel like they need more. Like, this is just one night. So I'm putting a lot of emphasis on this one night, okay? But I think, in my opinion, I was expecting just a little bit more from Roderick Strong here. And after this match, I kind of felt a little bit more. Obviously, for this moment only, I felt very much impressed by Asher Hale, where I kind of found myself looking at Asher Hale and thinking, oh, like he's making this match pretty good. And obviously, that's not to say that he's a better worker than Roderick Strong. Definitely not, because Roderick Strong is obviously on another level, has years of experience and all of that. But I found myself more interested in Asher Hale during this than Roderick Strong. And that doesn't make any sense at all, because that's not necessarily what they were intending here. And I do think that commentary also played a big role in this. I really do wish that they would have taken more time to actually talk about the members in Diamond Mine, to give us, a reason, like, why should we care? Like, as the viewers, like, give us some information. Like, what should we know about these guys that makes them badasses? Like, what should I know about the Diamond Mine that's going to make me go, oh, wow, like, okay, like, cool. I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be paying attention. Hey, this is the Diamond Mine, and this is, their history. I think commentary sort of lacked a little bit on that. I think they dropped the ball. I would have really liked a lot more background in there. And I think they could have done that to, just kind of build up the Diamond Mine and make them feel more, just much more. But we see Strong take down Hale right away, gets him in a chokehold. Again, Asher Hale does really well in this match. Strong then gets Hale with a backbreaker, a couple of chops. They exchange strikes. Strong gets him with a knee to the face. That was pretty fun. Strong defeats Hale by submission. And that was kind of it there, guys. I don't really feel like I had much more that I really wanted to add to that. How do you guys feel? Are you thinking that maybe I'm judging them a little bit too hard? What are your thoughts? We actually have a super chat. This one is from Flamethrower Fluff Salisbury, who says, Roddy physically looked a lot like 2013 CM Punk tonight. I didn't get that, but thank you so much for pointing that out. Although I didn't personally see it, but maybe I'll keep an eye out for it in the future. Oh, is it because of the hair, the buzz cut? Is that what you're getting at, the buzz cut? We also have another super chat. This one is from Cyclops is better than Wolverine, who says, biggest letdown was Bivens not getting a promo. Even with that, again, I just mentioned that commentary should put over these guys. Tell me why I should care about Malcolm Bivens. We can't expect that every viewer knows who these people are. Not everybody is going to be like, oh, this, and that. And obviously, we've seen Bivens on the NXT brand, but I just think that they should have fluffed it up a little bit more. Like, let us know why this is important, or why should we care? Tell us. And we have another super chat. This one is from Brandon Rosen. Thank you so much to Brandon. He says, I agree 100%. The Diamond Mine hadn't impressed me. Roderick Strong did, but they didn't. I was hoping for a promo or something with more impact. Who are they and what do they want? But see, that's the thing. Like, the match itself, to me, lacked impact. Like, there wasn't anything like, yeah, I did like, the quick exchanges that we saw between Hale and Strong for a split second there, and with the knee to the face. I thought that was pretty cool. But other than that, there wasn't anything to make me go, oh wow, like this is pretty great. It didn't feel pretty great. It was okay. It was fine. Nothing astronomical. So that's basically what I want to get at with that. Let's see what else you guys are saying here. I'm going to go through a couple of your comments. I'm trying to find somebody that might think something differently here. Someone says, come on, do you really care about Rust? I like Rust, guys. I really do. I like Rust. And I thought, obviously what they were doing with him earlier on with Bivens, I thought that was pretty good. It was starting to pick up its steam. And obviously they decided to make a different, they decided to go in a different direction. And thank you. So Flamethrower elaborates on his super chat saying that Roderick Strong reminded him of CM Punk with the hair, the beard, and the hoodie. Yeah, for a second I was like, what do you mean? But then afterwards I started to think about it and I was like, you know what? You got something there. You definitely got something there. This is a comment from Pro Wrestling TV who says, yeah, agreed. They need to make us care about the individual members. If this Diamond Mines thing clicks, though, then Roddy should be on top of NXT in a matter of months. And I am 100% here for that. So here for that. With if Cross is still champion or we have somebody else as champion, I don't care who. We need to just keep building people up. And obviously Roderick Strong is definitely one of those people that they can definitely do that with here. And all right, guys, let's see if we got any other comments here. This is Akuj97 who says, your honesty is great, Denise. No need to sugarcoat it for others. Stand by your convictions. We all have opinions. Oh boy, trust me. I'm always very honest on my shows. Like, that's the one thing that I feel like I'll always deliver. But I like to pick my wording, though. I don't like to say things in a way that could be misconstrued, because it just, I don't like things like that. That's the one thing with Twitter, though. Like, Twitter, like, you can put something out there and your words could totally be like miscalculated. But that's my favorite thing about podcasting, though, is that I can come on here and that I can explain myself and explain my thoughts and maybe convince the people that don't agree, or hell, maybe even you guys convince me here in the chat. We actually have another super chat. Wow, thank you so much to Jay Kane. Jay Kane says, who do you think the battery charger is? Can we fantasy the charger being Daniel Bryan? Oh my God. I feel like we would be dreaming maybe just a little bit too hard here. I feel like as much as I would totally be okay with that being Daniel Bryan, I don't think it is. I think it's definitely, because we talked about this when the charger thing was first presented to us on television here. And we talked about this because to me, the charger symbolizes somebody that was injured, somebody that is coming back. I think that it makes sense. The symbolism is there and it's so simple. I feel like you just have to assume that it's somebody who got hurt, who got injured, and is coming back. So personally, that's my thoughts here. And we have a couple predictions here where people think that it's Tegan Knox. And then we had a bunch of predictions last time here, but I really do think that Again, this is a comment from Brandon who says, whoever the Charger is, looks like they'll debut next week. Yeah, so it's looking, because they were, I think at the end of the night today, they were like at 80-something%. And for the most part, I feel like they've been charging like 20% per week. So chances are that at the top of the Great American Bash in the first hour, it'll be like 90%. And then next thing you know, 100%, and the person comes out. So again, I do think it's going to be somebody that was injured, sidelined. ASM Shafin brings up Rich Holland. He was another person that we predicted as well, again, and or Tegan Knox. But either way, I think it's a creative way to bring somebody back. I like that. I'm totally here for it. And let's see what else we got here. Again, another person saying also possibly Rich Holland. And Mike Savage says the Charger could be Keith Lee. I don't think so. I don't think it'd be Keith Lee. I think it's definitely going to be these two names that we mentioned here. Pomi says hopes for the battery, Tegan Knox. Alternative, Rich Holland. Underwhelming answer, Kona Reeves. That could possibly be a thing there too. All right, guys, let's go ahead and move on here. So after this, we had, after the Diamond Mine, we had Cameron Grimes versus Ari Sterling, who was known before as Alex Zane. And this was a fun little match, guys. This was not a very long match. I didn't keep time of it or anything like that, but it was a very fast match. It was a fast match in time and also a fast match in the ring. It was fast paced. We saw Hurricane Rana from Grimes, backflip from the middle ropes from Sterling, which was really cool. We see Cameron Grimes pick up the win here. Again, super fast, fun match. LA Knight comes out and he essentially calls Cameron Grimes a loser. Grimes says that he's going to take away the $1 million bout from him next week. And then Knight adds a proposition or a new stipulation to this match and basically says that at Great American Bash, if Cameron Grimes does not manage to defeat LA Knight, that he will become his butler. And again, I know I'm saving all of this stuff for my predictions afterwards, but I might as well say it now. I have a feeling we're going to be seeing Cameron Grimes as LA Knight's butler. And the reason for that is why would they add the stipulation if they're not going to do it? So I feel like they're totally going to do it. And especially with Cameron Grimes, and we all know how funny he is. It's going to be kind of hilarious. And then also if they take away the $1 million championship from LA Knight now, it's like, what else does he have? What else are they going to do with him? So I think we are going to end up seeing Cameron Grimes as his butler. We have another super chat. Thank you so much to Brandon Rosen, who says, I hope Grimes loses. Yeah, that's what I just said, right? The vignettes with him as LA Knight's butler will be comedy gold. Exactly what I just said. Exactly what I was thinking. It makes sense. It makes sense that they would do that with Cameron Grimes. And with Cameron Grimes, it's not going to come across as like demeaning either, because again, the comedic portion of who he is, I think is going to go over pretty well with the people. And obviously, with LA Knight, they're going to do probably like those mansion vignettes where he's there, being all LA bougie and, by the pool with the gals, with the chicas. And all of a sudden you got Cameron Grimes coming over here and, I don't know, working the grill or something. Who knows? I'm just trying to think at the top of my head what they might be doing with these vignettes. Let's see what else we got here. And this is a comment from Pomi who says, Ari Sterling has looked pretty good on 205 Live in the past month. Hopefully he participates in the breakout tournament. It would be good, you would think, right? I would hope that they would do something like that. And let's see what else we got here. Let's see. This is a comment from Martin Correa who says, I really like that NXT superstars train well against a roll-up on the main roster. It's a really devastating move that no one trains to kick out of it. Exactly. This day and age, you got to train to get yourself out of that roll-up. All right, guys. I think Sam3 says clean the hot tub. We're probably going to see him clean his hot tub. That seems to be an option here. Alrighty, guys, so we're going to go ahead and move on from this. Last comment, actually. I'm going to read this comment from Nicholas who says, I hope LA Knight makes Cameron kiss some grits. Probably is. All right. And before we move on to the next topic here, I just want to remind you guys all that tomorrow, AEW Dynamite is back on Wednesdays. And you know what that means? Denise no longer has to do 2 shows in one night on Friday and doesn't have to work on a Saturday. I was going to go on a road trip this past weekend, but no, AEW got preempted and I had to work on Saturday. Either way, back tomorrow on Wednesday. So I'm going back to my normal schedule of Tuesdays NXT, Wednesdays AEW, and Friday with Smackdown. So I'm happy to be back on Wednesdays because it's so much fun and it is so much easier to talk about one show on one stream. So if you guys are enjoying this stream so far, have enjoyed any of my past shows, make sure that you guys come on over for AEW Dynamite. That's always a really fun show. You never know what's going to happen. There's usually always a hot topic to discuss on AEW Dynamite. So hopefully you guys will check out that show. Alrighty, guys, let's go ahead and move here. Yeah, thank you. High Score Run says she stayed here for us. Exactly. I could have been, cruising. I was planning on going. I mean, I didn't really have like a specific place in mind, but I was like, maybe I could go to the Grand Canyon. Maybe I could go to Sequoia. I didn't go anywhere. I stayed home. I stayed home for the people and for the paycheck. All right, guys, let's move on. So we have this was an awesome segment. All right. This next portion, I don't think there's anyone here in this chat that is going to say they did not like this next segment. So we have Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole. Where do I even begin here? All right. So Kyle O'Reilly comes out, says he proved to the world that he could one day be champion and that he belongs in the main event scene after his unsanctioned match with Adam Cole. And then both Adam Cole and Samoa Joe end up coming out here. Samoa Joe basically tells them, go at it, guys. Go at it. Tell each other what you want to tell each other. So they do. And Adam Cole completely takes this and runs with it. I'm sorry, but I love this back and forth between Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. But I got to be honest, Adam Cole completely outshines Kyle O'Reilly in this. I mean, he comes out here and he basically starts telling Kyle O'Reilly that he's obsessed with him. And Kyle O'Reilly's like, dude, I ain't obsessed with you. And he gives him, he gives his little portion of this. And then Adam Cole continues to say that Kyle O'Reilly is obsessed with him and that without him, he would not be where he is right now and that no one would be talking about him because he is the star. And he says that he is the one who carried Kyle O'Reilly and says that he's still the star and says the whole world, the locker room, and even Kyle O'Reilly's wife knows it. And I just thought, oh, burn. That was like the second burn of the night. And I just thought, okay, all right. Like I feel like you would think that I'd be here complaining like, oh, we're going to see Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly again. I'm not complaining whatsoever. I'm looking forward to this. Like, I know it's going to be a banger. And, obviously I'll share my predictions later on who I think should win. But I love this segment. This was great. Like, I thought Adam Cole did a really good job at this was such a good heel promo. Like, you can't help but to kind of be like, oh, that guy's such a douche. When he said, like, I'm still a star and you're not the star and I carried you and all of the stuff that he said during this, like, you can't have to be like, dude, did that guy just say that? Damn, So there, I love that. I really, really love that. We have a super chat from Cyclops is better than Wolverine who says, Cole always makes Kyle O'Reilly look like a mid-card act. See, I kind of feel bad for Kyle O'Reilly because I feel like they haven't found the perfect version of him. They had the whole cool Kyle O'Reilly thing going, and they kind of dropped that. They kind of phased it out. And I just feel like they haven't found something that clicks necessarily with him. Like, I don't know. Is he still even going by cool Kyle O'Reilly? I feel like we're still supposed to see him as cool Kyle O'Reilly, but again, like it just doesn't, it's not coming across as something all of that enjoyable. Not enjoyable, but just, I don't know. It's not clicking. It's not clicking. We have a super chat from Jay Kane who says, I'm loving NXT every Tuesdays. Denise, you are booking NXT for SummerSlam. Who does cross face that would have you invested? Oh, I'm booking SummerSlam? Oh, okay. Let's see. Who would I want to see carrying cross face? Okay. He's already done Finn. Okay. I'm going to go with the main roster here. You know what? I'm going to go with something that maybe not a lot of people would have expected. I would like to see, let's say he were to go to Raw. I would actually like to see Karrion Kross versus Matt Riddle, or Karrion Kross versus Damian Priest. I think those would be two really good options. SmackDown, Karrion Kross, Big E. I think there's some options there. I don't think they necessarily got to put them against Roman Reigns. I don't feel like they got to go that direction. They could start at a different level here, is what I'm trying to say. And so I kind of think that would probably make me a little bit more interested. Those are my thoughts. Thank you so much to Jay King for sending in the super chat. Let's see what else we got here. ASM Shafeen says, I was laughing hysterically when Joe was hurt, standing there letting Kyle keep the leg hook. Joe's hilarious. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, this one is from Dalen, who says, first thing I did was Google who's Kyle O'Reilly's wife, and turns out she's not a wrestler or famous. Was just wondering. Dude, you're not alone. I did too. I was like, who's Kyle O'Reilly's wife? I had no idea. No idea who Kyle O'Reilly's wife is, and I didn't even bother to continue my Google search, to continue searching. So I guess I won't know unless somebody else gives me information here. We have another super chat. This one is from Brandon. Thank you so much, Brandon. Brandon says, Samoa Joe will probably face Adam Cole based on how Joe let Cole suffer a little before calling security during this segment. I like those tiny little things that, people pick up on, and those little things, planting the seeds for something. Planting the seeds. Thank you so much to Brandon Rosen. Twitch Face 4 has the answer here. We don't need Google. Twitch Face has it. Twitch Face says his wife is Mrs. O'Reilly. That's it. That's his wife, Mrs. O'Reilly. All right, guys, let's go ahead and move on from this. After this, we had a match between Jake Atlas and Mercedes Martinez versus Xia Li at BOA. And this match, unfortunately, the match itself is not going to be really the topic, but rather the actual finish to this match. Not because we kind of had a little unfortunate incident happen here. So first and foremost, Xia Li looked great, looked badass. I still don't know what BOA brings to the table. I don't think BOA adds anything, so sorry, BOA. Jake Atlas looks great in this. Chops, gets BOA with a drop kick. The women go at it. Xia Li gets Mercedes Martinez with a super kick and a forearm. One of the things that I was going to come on here and mention was that I really do think that they've done a phenomenal job with Mercedes Martinez, in the sense that they've transitioned her in different spots on the roster pretty well. Obviously, she was the first challenger to Raquel Gonzalez, and now she's doing this with Xia Li. So they have been finding ways to utilize her, and I have been liking that. However, the thing that we need to talk about is the actual finish of the match, because Xia Li hit Mercedes Martinez with a spinning heel kick to the head, and Mercedes just falls straight to the ground. And then the camera cuts to Xia Li, and we end up, I hear the bell, we hear the bell, and we're not seeing Mercedes at this point. We're just seeing Xia Li, we hear the bell, and the ref stops the match. And I'm thinking, like in that moment, I realized that something was wrong, and that was definitely not the planned finish, okay? And I went back, and obviously everybody was sharing the video on Twitter, and we saw a couple of replays on NXT, and we saw that Mercedes Martinez, she just literally just went straight to the ground. The kick did not land very well for her, and that was definitely an unplanned finish. Afterwards, Sean Ross Sapp did post up that quote. He said, Mercedes Martinez was checked in the back, and talent and staff were told she's headed to the hospital for further evaluation. Now, this was a tweet that he shared right before I went live on this stream, so I do not know if there have been any other updates while I've been on this stream, but I hope that Mercedes Martinez is, better, or at least feeling better after that, because again, wrestling is we all know, I know a lot of people like to say, oh, it's fake and all of this, but real stuff happens. Injuries happen, concussions happen, all of that stuff happens, and you never like to see anybody get hurt in the ring. So wishing Mercedes Martinez the best. And let's see what you guys got to say here. This is a comment from ASM who says Mercedes went limp. She fell with no protection or movement. She just went straight down. Patrick says, I hope she is okay. That was brutal. Mr. EMJ says, sending positive vibes to Mercedes Martinez when they showed that replay. Cringe. Yeah, they showed that replay and then posted the clip on Twitter. And I mean, it's what happened, right? I don't know if I don't know. I was going to say, I don't know if I would probably like keep posting it, but it's going to be posted either way. So, that's just what happens, right? Ryan Vaughn says that kick was a clean, solid knockout. Cyclops is better than Wolverine says that kick looks so scary, but on the bright side, Zaya looks strong. Yeah, like if let's just say it's not, but let's just say that would have been like her just selling, that would have made, Zia Lee looked phenomenal, right? But because this was a real thing, it's because it's a real thing, I kind of feel like bad saying that. So I don't know. This is a comment from the Lamb 19 who says, I was hoping Mercedes was selling the kick hard, but her head hitting the ground, shoulders looking stiff during the pin, and the camera panning off ensured that it was not a good situation. Yeah, I think for me, what really gave it away was obviously, the camera movements. You're not watching Mercedes Martinez. You're not seeing her on the ground. And the fact that I had to wait until I saw the replay to actually see how it happened, with an actual, knowing this information, you see things a lot differently when you already know. And so, yeah, I really felt bad for Mercedes on that. Okay, guys, I think let's see what else we got here. All right, cool. Let's go ahead and move on. All right, so after this, we had, okay, here we go. So we kind of touched on this, but I got to touch on it again because I'm going to use this second now because we're going to talk about MSK, Ciampa, and Thatcher. And I'm going to use this second to remind you all to not forget to check out my interview with Tommaso Ciampa. I was so excited to talk to him, guys, because he's literally been one of my favorites. I mean, I'm a big fan of the guy. So internally, I was fangirling. And so those interviews, they're always extra fun when you're a really big fan of the person. So I was very excited to talk to him. And so, I mean, God, we talked about so much in that brief time period that you would almost feel like you got an hour's worth of information. And I literally sent a 2-page press release with all of the quotes that I got from Ciampa in this interview, because he talks about the fact that he feels the fans forgot how good he is. He talks about how teaming with Thatcher is essentially his way, or not his way, but it's something that he's using to hopefully get the people to remember how good he is. He talks about his neck injury and how that kind of messed things up for him because, a lot of people, were seeing how good he was in 2018 and then they kind of forgot. He says that's why that was one of the key things that going into the match with Walter, one of the key things behind his mind was basically wanting to prove to the fans that, hey, I'm as good as you remember me being. And so I kind of thought that was really interesting because in my mind, I never stopped believing that, or I never not remembered that he wasn't good. I never feel like I forgot. And I also feel like a lot of the people that I talked to didn't really forget, but obviously for him, in his eyes, he feels like the people forgot. So that was really, really interesting to kind of get with that. And then also, he basically talks about creative on NXT, and he basically describes it as a wheel, and essentially basically saying you take part. You can control the parts that you can control, but there are certain variables that you can't control. And so there are certain times where, again, it's a wheel and you might be doing, 1 minute you might be on top, the other minute you're not. And again, people get different turns and different moments to, shine and whatnot. He obviously explains this a whole lot better. So make sure to check out that interview. You can find the links over on my Twitter or Instagram at _Denise Salcedo, or you guys can also go to youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. I do have the video posted on there. We have a super chat from Brandon who says, Ciampa and Toothless Timmy made MSK look like tag team chumps tonight. Chumps is unfortunately the right word to use here. I like MSK. I'm a fan of MSK. I'm rooting for MSK. Well, I'm not rooting for MSK in this match, but I'm rooting for them in general. Look, I'm sorry, but right from the beginning, I was like, dude, I can't, as good as they've been booking MSK, I can't buy that they're going to defeat Thatcher and Ciampa in a clean way, in a dominant way. I cannot buy it. I just can't. Like, for me, it's not believable. Sue me. I can't buy it. Like, I just feel like you look, and today was a perfect example of that. Let me talk about this. We essentially have them coming out. Ciampa basically tells them that the difference between them and the difference between the two teams is that Ciampa and Thatcher are the ones that make things look good. Says that even though that they are the champions, they're going into this match as the underdogs. Says that no, and then he gets really fired up here. Ciampa gets really, really fired up. And he starts saying that no man in this world elevates a title the way that he does. And I think he was meaning, based on the conversation that I had with him, I feel like he meant that with a little bit more than just the tag team titles. I think that was also, he's a former NXT champion. So I think that was also a direct, not shot, but a direct line, also talking about the NXT championship bout. And so I really love this. Now, MSK obviously don't sit and just take it, but I mean, they might as well would have. They essentially slap both Thatcher and Ciampa, but Ciampa sort of calms down Thatcher and they kind of, take the high road per se. And he basically tells them that, he lets them off with a warning. Ciampa lets off MSK with a warning and basically saying that today they got lucky, but they ain't going to get lucky next week and that they're taking the titles. And in terms of delivery, in terms of presence, in terms of star power, Thatcher and Ciampa completely blew MSK out of the water. And like Brandon said, unfortunately made them look like chumps. We have a super chat, a giant super chat. Thank you so much to Christopher Marino. Dude, you are awesome. Thank you so much. He says, even though MSK were overshadowed, it could only happen. He says, even though MSK were overshadowed, it can only help them sometimes. You need to be put in situations that are your weak parts so you can learn and improve, just like that Cena and Reigns face off. Now look at Reigns. Yeah, and obviously, it is unfair. It is unfair to compare MSK to Thatcher and Ciampa because I mentioned at the top of this show, they have more of a history, more of a reputation, more of a lineage now. The fans obviously know and respect both of their works, not even just like with what they've done, outside of one another, but like even what they did, like just even their past feud with Thatcher and Ciampa, with them together, like even that was pretty intense. So like it isn't fair, but I want to see Thatcher and Ciampa become champions. And I don't know if I already wanted it, I think, from the beginning. But I think after talking to him and kind of realizing how important this actually means to him in his career, I'm like, you know what? MSK are young. They can be champions once again down the road. Let's do this with Thatcher and Ciampa. I want to see what they can do. But at the same time, it's like, you know what? They did, invest in this time with MSK. They did, MSK had really good matches too. This is not to say that they haven't had good matches, but again, just different levels here. I think it's a little bit of an unfair matchup, if you'll ask me, but there you go. Thank you so much to Christopher Marino for sending in this super chat. All right, guys, we have a quick backstage segment where Saray asked William Regal to have a match with Tony Storm. So that is most likely happening. So we'll see when that happens. And lastly, let's jump into this main event, everybody. So Bronson Reed versus Isaiah Swerve Scott for the NXT North American Championship. I was glad that they set this match up. Obviously, I didn't know who was going to win. And I basically was glad because I thought, oh, good, they're giving Bronson Reed a challenger. He definitely needs this because, he hasn't been having that many title defenses and the bout's starting to look like a decoration on him. So this is good, right? Like, that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking heading into this match. And I figured, Isaiah Swerve Scott is going to be a great opponent for Bronson Reed. I wasn't expecting a title change. Like, boy, did they surprised me. Maybe a lot of people here are probably going to be like, Denise, how did you not see it happening? Like, well, what are you thinking here, girl? No, I really was surprised by this. They played to Bronson's, size during this entire match. This was a really, really fun match. We essentially had Bronson Reed dominate at the top of this match, tossing Isaiah Swerve Scott like a rag doll. There's a moment where he literally sits on Isaiah Swerve Scott, like sits on him. This was a fiery match though. Like they made a good combination in the ring. We see Reed give Isaiah Swerve Scott a killer clothesline. However, then we see Adonis and King Dollar, Top Dollar, get involved, and they essentially take out Reed. They tried to take out Reed, but Reed ends up tossing Top Dollar over through the plexiglass, and boy, does he take a bump. And then he also tosses Ashanti the Adonis through the plexiglass as well. And I thought, okay, good. They're not going to ruin this match for him. He's still going to win. And then we see Isaiah Swerve Scott drop kick him, hit him with a 450. And I'm thinking, oh, there's going to be a title change. Oh, yep, there it is. Bam, we have a brand new NXT North American champion in Isaiah Swerve Scott. And he's definitely going to have a fun run. He is a talented guy. But now this probably means, or at least people are speculating, that Bronson Reed is heading on over to the main roster. And I don't know. Some people might think, hooray, good for him. Leveling up, bro. And some people are like, oh no, this is not good. This is not good. Based on what we've seen with a lot of people. Keith Lee just being a recent example of that. It doesn't always work out, guys. Doesn't always work out. But let's see what you guys are saying here. We have another massive super chat. Thank you so much to Cameron Mumford. Cameron, you the man. Cameron says, I was surprised that Swerve ended up winning the NXT North American title this soon, was pushing for Santos Escobar to get it first, but still a well-deserved win. Looks like Bronson's heading to the main roster. May God help him. Cameron, thank you so much for reminding me of this, because I really did think that Santos Escobar was on the road to becoming NXT North American champion. And now I'm wondering if that was going to be maybe like an original plan. I don't know. They could have just done this with Santos Escobar. They could have just had him win the match. But then again, it kind of feels like, they're putting a lot of, effort into, well, not a lot of effort, but they're putting some effort into Hit Row. So maybe they want to give them something. Obviously, having Isaiah serve Scott as champion is going to serve them good. It's going to do them well. Yeah, but I think I wanted to see Santos Escobar become champion. But maybe that's just me being a little bit, no, Santos Escobar has so much star power. And I've seen a lot of people tell me that they don't like Santos Escobar on Twitter, but I think that he has a lot. And I think that they were building him up so well that if he were to become the NXT North American champion, I think people would have gotten behind it. At least the people that weren't behind it, I think they could have gotten behind it if they did him right by it. Thank you so much to Cameron for setting in this super chat. We have another one from Paul S. who says, Ashanti the Adonis reaction to Top Dollar being tossed through the plexiglass was the funniest thing I've ever seen. No, you good. And then he gets tossed in there too. So that was a pretty nice visual. I like that. It made Bronson Reed look like a monster. And, essentially they had that distraction. So even though Isaiah Swerve Scott won cleanly, you can still say that obviously with the added addition or the, interference with Top Dollar and Ashanti the Adonis, obviously it was like Bronson Reed was fighting more than one man. So at least he's protected in that way. That's the best way that you can look at that here. And let's see what else we got here. I think we actually have another super chat. This one is from M. Durrett. Thank you so much to M. Durrett, who says, Denise, I think if actually built correctly, babyface Bronson could take down Roman after the Cena and Rock big matches. Look, I get what you're saying here. I get it. Like, I'm on your wavelength here. But here's my but. My but is that I don't think it's going to happen. And the reason for that is I just don't think that they're going to see Bronson Reed as that guy to dethrone Roman Reigns. And truthfully, I don't think I see him as that guy either. Remember I was talking about earlier, all the things in the universe got to be right. I just don't see it for Bronson Reed. I really don't. Like I like Bronson Reed, but I just don't think that he would be the guy to essentially dethrone Roman Reigns. Even I just don't see it. I don't know how else to say it. I don't see it. I mean, I like Bronson Reed, and I think he's going to do, if they allowed him to do cool stuff, he would, but I don't see him as the guy to take down Roman. But good prediction. Good prediction. I see where you're going with that. All right. Did I get everything here? All right. I'm going to read a couple more comments here, guys. Send in your thoughts. This one is from Troy Butler, who says, Bronson had no character depth, in my opinion, just a generic babyface. There are so many layers in psychology with Swerve. I'm glued to my TV anytime he and Hit Row are on. They are perfection. See, I agree with the first portion here where you talk about Bronson having no character. And that is true because they made him champion, I kind of feel, because they had really no other options. Like that to me is kind of how I felt like he became champion by default. And that's unfortunate to say. And that's not a knock on Bronson Reed. It's just the fact that I don't necessarily feel like they took the time to actually give us another layer to him. Like Troy Butler just said, it had no character, no depth. I agree. As much as I love and enjoy watching him in the ring, they didn't give us a reason aside from the fact that, yeah, he does cool things and he can squish a guy and throw guys to plexiglasses, but they needed to give him a little bit more. And I don't think they ever took the time to do that with Bronson Reed. I really don't think they took the time to actually, grow him as a, performer with, again, more depth. He was just a generic babyface. He was likable, but that was about it. That was where it ended. It didn't go anywhere further than that. And Isaiah Swerve Scott, I love the stuff that he's been doing as of late on NXT. I do think that Hit Row has gotten stale, but obviously now with Isaiah Swerve Scott as NXT North American champion, that's not going to continue. So I do hope that they pick up the steam that Hit Row had when they first made their debut as a stable. So I do hope they pick up that steam because they kind of lost it for a little bit. At least in my opinion, a lot of the stuff that they were doing kind of got a little dull. But again, now that he's champion, I think things are changing here. All right, let's see what else we got here. This is a comment from Brandon who says, well, unfortunately, he's getting called up so quickly because he's a big guy. Remember, he was almost out due to injury, so he missed some time in NXT. Yes. Mario Morales says, I would love to see Adam Cole on SmackDown. He can feud with Pat McAfee again. I know Cole must be hating McAfee, made the main run roster before him. I don't know. I don't think so. And let's see what else we got here. This one is from High Score Run who says, I worry for Bronson because Keith Lee is nowhere now. And there's more names than, obviously Keith Lee that we can talk about. We can talk about Aleister Black. I mean, it's unfortunate to say that we have all of these names here, but Tyler Wilson says, Denise, when, if ever, do you think we'll see Cole on the main roster? I feel like if it was going to happen, it should have happened a long time ago. I feel like that's my best answer there. This is a comment from M. Durrett who says, a super chat. Thank you so much, M. Durrett, who says, I don't disagree that Vince wouldn't see it, but I think he could have that old school babyface underdog potential. Physically, he can also compete. This is in regards to Bronson Reed, correct? Yeah, I agree. Again, I'm a fan of Bronson Reed. I feel like based on the people that they decide to do big things with, I just don't think that it would be Bronson Reed. But again, I could be wrong. I could totally be 100% wrong here. Troy Butler says, how about we keep belts off of big, meaty men so Vince won't steal our champs, forcing short title runs? I know he keeps taking our big, meaty men with belts. He just keeps taking them. He takes them. All right, guys, get your final thoughts and comments here. I am going to read a couple more, and then we're going to go ahead and call it a night. But do not forget that tomorrow I will be back here for AEW Dynamite, and that's going to be a pretty fun show here. All right, last couple of comments that I'm going to read. This one is from Aaron, who says, I don't see Bronson succeeding on the main roster because they didn't see anything in Keith Lee. Nicholas says Bronson could just have a rematch. I don't see him ready for the main roster yet. And Joseph says, well, next week is the Bash. On paper, it feels like a regular NXT episode and not special. Actually, Joseph, thank you so much. You just reminded me that I said I was going to do quick predictions. So here we go. $1 million championship match, LA Knight. I do think that. So LA Knight versus Cameron Grimes. I do think that LA Knight will be winning and Cameron Grimes will be becoming his butler. Then we have the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship titles on the line. Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell defend against Io Shirai and Zoe Stark. I hope that there's a title change here, so I'm going to go with Io Shirai and Zoe Stark. And then we have the NXT Tag Team Champions, MSK, defend against Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher. I'm going to go with Ciampa and Thatcher. And lastly, Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly. I think the right call here is to have Adam Cole win. Alrighty, everyone, that is our show. Thank you guys so much for joining me once again. I thank you guys all so much for everybody who's tuning in. Again, please help me continue to spread the word on my show. Let people know you enjoy Speak Now Pro Wrestling. Come back tomorrow for AEW Dynamite, and do not forget to follow me on Twitter or on Instagram @_Denise Salcedo. Until next time, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye, everyone.